Welcome to Dungeons & Demogorgons, the officially unofficial podcast for Stranger Things on Netflix. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And we just finished watching Season 3, Episode 4, titled The Sauna Test. It's got a lot of good stuff to talk about. The season's really heating up. Yeah.
Right along with the sauna.
I had to.
220 degrees. Actually, it felt like a sauna in southern Ohio this weekend.
Oh, yeah. It's getting hot.
Oh,
and sticky.
boy. Yeah.
Hot and sticky, just like Billy.
No Demogorgons here. No, sir.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought there's some just amazing performances. The kid who plays Will, is that Noah Schnapp?
Uh-huh.
That scene where he's kind of explaining the mechanics of how the Mind Flayer got marooned in our existence, our plane of existence. I think that it almost like, obviously, Millie Bobby Brown is already kind of a breakout star of this, but I feel like of the boys, Will just like incredible actor.
And I really love that scene last season where they kind of tied him down in the shed.
Yeah.
And he just had to like sit on set screaming, "Let me go, let me out."
Yeah, and that shit's hard to do. And some of the stuff that he's doing here is like nuanced and really emotionally based. I thought.
Yeah.
I saw a couple early memes that people are like, "Oh, in the first season he was out. The second season he just was comatose. And the third season he just gets to feel his neck and turn around." I'm like, wait till you get to episode 4 because I think this kid's really good. And then Dacre Montgomery, the performance he did when he's locked up in that sauna is fucking amazing.
He's been great the entire time. He's been an asshole, and you shouldn't like him as a character. But that actor has been doing a great job. But I think even the seduction scenes are great. He's doing good work.
I think he could be a big deal too. Yeah. I really enjoyed the stuff. There's a lot of silly stuff. Like I cracked up when I saw. It's one thing to have like a 2:00 in the morning. You got a meet and a shipment. And you got some guards there just in case something goes down.
Yeah. Like if you're at the docks or something, right?
Yeah. But like if you're in a small town America, Middle America Mall, and it's broad daylight, and you're still standing out there with AKs. Like, does no one go to the back of this mall? Is there no one coming in for the early shift, being like, "Hey, Bob, nice fucking Kalashnikov." Like,
I've been around the back of a lot of malls.
Yeah,
never seen a guy with an Uzi.
Yeah, they're not secure areas. There's a couple of kind of silly stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see these kids, like they're just fucking all in on this thing. Maybe call somebody at this point once you verify that yes, there is a Russian cell. But some of this stuff you just got to go with to enjoy the world and what it has to offer. And I am. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I really liked it. Like I said, it's heating up. Things are starting to come out into the open. The whole town looks like it's going to be involved at some point. We've got at least 15 people that are under the spell of the Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
We get to see like a good portion of the monster.
Right.
It almost looks like a baby, excuse me. It almost looks like a baby Mind Flayer, right? In the same way that like Dart grows into like this Demodog. Mm-hmm. It kind of looks like the same rough shape. And if you give it, maybe a week or two more, it's going to be hulking in the sky, just kind of looming over everyone.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the Mind Flayer has always been portrayed. It's just like it was a shadow or an outline and someone's gone and colored it in with flesh.
Yeah.
Just flesh bags.
And a lot of goo.
And that scene where, is it Heather? Is she the missing lifeguard?
Yeah.
Where her parents got just pumped full of that shit is, the Cronenberg, the Carpenter is on full display.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty gross. And also, now that we know that the Mind Flayer is actively recruiting teams of the residents of Hawkins, it does seem like a zombie horde attacking them all is a very strong possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Something we were speculating about in the preview podcast. So,
and the other thing, Ty-in, that we talked a little bit about in the preview cast is how they do the sauna test, right? Which is the whole premise of this episode. We're going to test Billy, see if he's actually got the Mind Flayer in him. And they carry that out in a similar manner as, we see in The Thing, where they're doing this blood test and putting a flame up to it, and it reacts to the heat. So yeah, clearly like very John Carpenter inspired.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of like invasion of the body snatchers because we see these now malevolent people going out into the world, and they're doing things like shutting down investigations into itself. In the case of Nancy's newspaper story,
Yeah.
I also thought I'm glad we got a little bit of explanation. Speaking of Will, that like it's not like the Mind Flayer possesses their familiars or whatever you want to call it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of time you're just yourself, like only like maybe sick and confused, and then it actually activates, quote unquote activates you at particular times, and that's when it's like energy or its spirit possesses you. I thought that's cool because I was starting to get fuzzy about how the mechanics of the world were working.
No, it frames all the hospital stuff that was happening with Will last time because he very much like he couldn't remember who his mother was at some point. He definitely didn't remember Hopper or the doctor. It was a little confusing as to, okay, is this Will or is this the Mind Flayer? And now we understand, okay, well, during that time, the Mind Flayer was using him to see where they were to try and attack them. So, of course, the Mind Flayer was out, right?
Yeah. And it feels good, too, that, like, here at the midpoint of the season, it seems like most of the children, except for the ones actively investigating the Russian connection,
Right.
Are kind of teamed up again. So
Yeah.
we've now, instead of having, like, 5 different units to keep track of, we've got 3. Joyce and Hopper, they're an investigation into the dirty fingernails of one Carrie Elwes, or is it Mayor Kline?
I think that's his name.
Yeah. And Hopper does what Hopper does. He always does.
Well, I'm glad to see he hasn't lost a step because going into this season, I was really surprised by the turn in Hopper. He just seemed like a dumb oaf the entire first 3 episodes. And the thing that turned the corner with me, or for me with him, is that he clocked that biker. Like he's still doing his like Jason Bourne walking into a cafe routine where he's noticing every little detail. He's just maybe acting a little weird for Hopper.
Yeah.
It must be the mustache.
But I like that. And then, everybody's kind of getting back together again. Do you want what? So are we to the point where we can just talk about whatever we want to talk about now?
Well, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay. I'm conflicted. Because I know one of the big things that came out of last season is they've got to find a way to get everyone involved in the defeat of this thing. And every single time so far, it's been Elle kind of screaming at something until it goes away. And I want the climax of this season to be something other than 11 screaming at something until it closes. But
she's got nowhere else to bleed from. The climax last year was 2 nostrils.
Right.
We're halfway through the season. We've seen that already.
Get some ears involved and get some ears.
Yeah.
Maybe a trickle at the corner of the mouth. But Max giving her the Wonder Woman comic seems like if it's foreshadowing, it's going to be like maybe she's even going to be a bigger badass.
An electrified
so
rope.
I do like I got a thrill from like her like even touching the Wonder Woman's like, who's this? Oh, this is Princess Diana, and she's and I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be cool. But also, oh boy, I hope again this doesn't just be Elle is the win button. Because, I mean, everyone plays their role. It's not like they're useless.
No, they're not.
But when it comes to, like, dealing with the otherworldly threats, they most often tend to be. And I hope they can find a way to round that corner.
Yeah, we'll see. I like everything. So we talked a little bit about it, but I like everything with Hopper this episode. Him going in and roughing up the mayor was fantastic. I love the mayor's, like, Scarface-esque mansion. It's like Robert Loggia should have been sitting in the corner in a fucking chair. It's so Scarface.
Yeah.
Flamingos on the walls. Like it's everything I wanted it to be in this small town. I don't know. This mayor has some weird tastes.
Yeah, doesn't he have like a zebra rug?
Like a rug in the entryway.
He's probably got a safari room. Like this guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also the fact that he's rocking this in Hawkins, Indiana.
Right.
Like
he's definitely a weirdo in that.
Yeah,
area.
there's not a neighborhood for like I imagine like if you're listening to this in LA or like New York, different places, you might think that there's a neighborhood that has like just this is where the rich weird people live and they've got their zebra furniture and stuff. In Hawkins, Indiana, I guarantee there isn't. He's just built this disgusting palace in the middle of nowhere probably gated off, and how this guy actually got elected as small town mayor. I mean, that's the other thing is like, are they trying to tell us that he is? I mean, obviously he's dirty, but like it's almost like, how did the town not find this out?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I wish I knew more about Mayor Kline to know, like, maybe he came from money, so it wouldn't be unusual for him to be flashing this stuff. But
and one of my favorite scenes this episode is that cigar cutter scene.
Yeah,
let's call it. I was physically tensed up during that whole scene, going, "Please don't."
I thought he might lose the tip of his
off.
finger. I thought he might lose the tip of his finger. He get Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 2 is the one where they got the. I remember the first time I knew what a cigar cutter was. It was Mission Impossible 2, and was it Douggery Scott? He's the villain in there, and he snipped off someone's finger with it.
I don't know. What's his angle? Is it just like, is he the hapless idiot here, the mayor, where he has gotten into a deal he doesn't understand, and it's gotten bigger than him, and now he's lost control of it?
It feels like it, yes.
I think it's just gonna be straightforward. This is what's happening, and then we deal with the bigger bads later.
Like there were Russians that needed a useful idiot in America, and they found one in Mayor Kline.
Okay,
it's a tale as old as time.
It's true,
and as current as the headlines. And it looks like they've bought up a bunch of like Hawkins, Indiana land, pumped a bunch of money into it, and like it's hilarious. It's almost like the implication is this Starcourt Mall that he brought to town is entirely just a front for this portal technology.
It seems like it. I mean, they've been integrated into this mall at the level of like the initial building.
Yeah.
Because this elevator, the shaft underneath it does not get dug unless the construction workers are involved.
Yeah, and here's the part where I got to just turn my brain off, because I'm like, I don't know that you could literally do this stuff in secret.
A 30-story underground shaft.
Like that involves so much excavation, and so like how do you even hide it? Like, with the permits and stuff, and where do you take the dirt? And but you know what? It's Stranger Things, so fuck it. I'm gonna go with it.
Sure.
What did you think? What do we think about Erica? Because I was looking forward to seeing Eric. Okay.
Just a little too much.
I feel like 110%. Like I'm 100. Yeah, some of this just like sass, but you have to believe that she's the type of girl who would be all in to sneak in a tunnel to go into an armed Russian building for the promise of free ice cream. So she's an unreal character in my estimation. So maybe her being larger than life. I mean, I enjoy what she's doing. It's just like, I feel like they should have like crossed out one or two lines. I like that you can't, like, she's like, come on, don't she's like, this sounds like child endangerment, and Dustin's like, well, these are Russians, don't you love your country? He's like, you can't spell America without Erica.
And then Dustin is just completely taken aback by that.
He's like, oh, logic puzzle checks out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm hoping that they get her back on the balance beam of being a likable character here, because it was a little bit too much for me.
I like her. Yeah, it was just like you said, cut one or two of those jokes.
Yeah,
maybe have her say child endangerment fewer times. I really loved when she called it Operation Child Endangerment. That was good.
And I think that the child actor is Pariah is doing a good job. I honestly think as a material. Like, some of this stuff is just like, it doesn't sound like an 8-year-old sister. I had an 8-year-old kid sister. They're fucking annoying. They're not annoying this way. I really like Nancy and Karen's heart-to-heart because...
Okay, and the Jonathan Nancy scene leading up to that, honestly.
Oh, yeah, let's get back to that, because I thought that was... It's interesting because it's essentially, would you rather be poor or a woman?
Probably poor.
Well, it depends. If I had diabetes, I'd want to be because it's not. I'd want to be a middle class woman, because then I could get my medical shit taken care of. But other than that, probably poor. And it's just interesting from their perspective, because everything that's happened to Nancy is total bullshit, and it also feels to me pretty realistic for what a small town newspaper would probably roll in the 1980s.
Absolutely.
But Jonathan just needs to find he needs to find a place to stay. He needs to find food. He needs he's at a stage where he's got to make something happen. And from his perspective, it's like, we're interns, probably just got this job 4 weeks ago, and why couldn't you be patient and earn your place? And The problem with that is, it's like, I don't think Nancy ever gets that shot unless she just decides to embrace the bullshit and play along with it. And I don't think that's what the thing he doesn't realize.
Yeah, no, they're both not quite understanding where each other are coming from, and that's I love these kind of scenes. Ozark has a few of them. Some of the scenes I really love from that, with the eldest daughter and her friend. Yeah, this stuff is really good, because I think everybody has a sort of blind spot when it comes to other people's perspectives,
especially when you're that young.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something, you can work and get better at, and you can kind of be compassionate and understanding, but also you never quite understand how they feel. It's not easy to get there. So I think these kind of scenes really paid off emotionally for me.
But yeah, the Nancy and Karen heart to heart, I liked it because it's kind of, one of the important stops on Nancy's hero's journey. She kind of has this moment where she's like, well, maybe I should just give up. And she meets the goddess, if Campbell was writing this, and the goddess gives her a pep talk. But it also is a window into Karen, because we've gotten these hints from Nancy that Karen's in a loveless marriage. She got married very young to an older man because he represented financial security in this small town. And we see this season that maybe she's wanting more, and this is like her kind of regret of like, what if I had tried to make it and not taking the quote unquote easy way out, and what if I want something better for my daughter, and I thought it really worked.
Yeah, I agree.
Sell it to the so go out there, finish the story, sell it to the Indie Star. Which leads to Nancy Drew and the massive HIPAA violation. I love how, because she's going through.
Mrs. Fertilizer.
Mrs. Fertilizer's
Driscoll.
records.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking as I was watching, it's like, holy shit. Do you remember all the scenes of like people, how many scenes in like the 70s, 80s revolved around people just looking at people's charts that were like just hanging at the bottom of their bed, or like was in a file that was just like tucked on the outside of the door. Like, my God, the things you could do with that. But yeah, Nancy's just like, yeah, it's a good thing that HIPAA's not around, because you'd have bigger problems than a mind flayer. And then it's like, I don't know if you want to talk specifically about Billy and the sauna. It's I don't know that we found anything new, because the way this story is told, it was only a mystery of the mystery of Billy's compliance or complicitness with the mind flayer was only in the minds of the kids. Like, from the viewer, it's clear what was going on. It's almost. I'm glad they actually dealt with this early on in the season before the halfway point, because it would have been tedious as fuck. If there was all these scenes of like, well, I think Billy did, and Max is like, no, he's an asshole, but he's my brother, and now we know.
Yeah, they spent like half an episode on it. That's the thing I love about this show. It's paced so quickly that any complaints you have just sort of get washed over by the next scene, and I'm okay with that in something as light and fun as this is supposed to be.
I am wondering, because like that end where Billy goes to mind flayer Heather and says, she could have killed me, and Heather's like, but not us, and then she like gestures to this basement full of Hawkins zombies, and like, if they're all as individually powerful as Billy, I don't know how they get stopped.
Yeah,
there's a fuck ton more of them. It'd be like having a room full of demigorgons. Rather, always before, it's like you'd have like one demigorgon and maybe a bunch of demi-dogs, but they were like, lesser of a threat in scale. But if you got these people that are all as powerful as Billy, and you've got a room full of them, and it sounds like you got another half of a season where you can continue to recruit, it's going to be bad news.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to deal with it.
Do you have any problems of like, what is actually going on in these people? Because like when Billy gets is Billy a normal human being? He's obviously super strong. He's obviously he can survive being blown through a concrete brick wall.
Yeah.
Like, but they do seem like they're still flesh and blood. I don't know quite how all that stuff works.
Yeah, I sort of let that stuff go.
It's another thing of
it's like, how does Captain America fight Thor or whatever, or
super
some
soldier serum,
it's demon that comes out of the sky. Yeah, so, who cares, ultimately? But one thing I do care about, and I probably my biggest question in the episode, is what the fuck is up with these Russians? What are they doing? Because, like, Steve, who, by the way, my girlfriend mentioned we haven't seen out of uniform yet, which is awesome. He's been in that stupid Scoops Ahoy thing.
Yeah.
I think the entire season so far.
Yeah.
He finds, this goo in these crates. What are they doing?
Is that another Back to the Future reference? Because doesn't that look exactly like the plutonium chamber or like the
Looks
the
a lot
dock
like it.
inserts into the DeLorean?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. To me, this is just classic Cold War. Like, if you're going in space, we're going in space. Oh, you got a space shuttle? Now we got a space shuttle. Like, like.
So is this part of the machine that Hopper and Joyce are trying to find right now?
Yeah, I think this is like this is the big portal laser magnet gun that they fired up that killed everybody at the beginning.
It's like
they
the
just
fuel.
Yeah, it must be the fuel that powers it. That's what my guess is, and they're just trying to. That's something we speculated. It seems like the Russians are just trying. They caught wind of the Americans and their portal technology, and they want in.
Okay.
Whether they understand what I don't know is if they understand the dangers. Like, I know they understand the dangers of the technology, that it might explode and vaporize people, but have they had any upside down type visitors on their end yet?
Right.
So, but it's not not clear to me yet.
There's definitely been one successful experiment there. So
yeah, I like the "We'll Meet Again" because that was so that song came out in 1939, and it was one of the most popular like World War II songs. It's about people going away and the hope to see them again. And it was popular with soldiers, obviously popular with their loved ones back at home, but it was also repurposed famously in Dr. Strangelove as the montage of the atomic bombs at the end of the movie. It almost is like an apocalyptic feel. And when you're seeing all these dozens of zombies down there and we'll meet again, it feels like that context, like this is doom.
And it has like a Fallout vibe to it as well, like the video game series.
I haven't played Fallout, dude.
It's just like the whole premise of Fallout is it's after an atomic apocalypse,
Gotcha.
nuclear apocalypse.
Does that song is like?
I don't know if it's that song, but it's that style of music, that era of music.
Yeah. Is that is the Fallout series like it's supposed to be like the?
Like I think it happened in the 50s-ish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you want to talk about?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, if you would like to send feedback, again, the way we're doing this is it is now Monday, July 8th, and we're going to cover 3 more episodes, leaving the penultimate and the finale for tomorrow. We are going to be taking feedback. If you'd like to send that into strangerthings@baldmove.com. There's also forum threads corresponding to our binge. We had one for last week. We've got one for these 3 episodes that we're going to cover, and then one for tomorrow's episodes. Leave your feedback at either of those places, and next week we'll be wrapping up season 3's coverage. We'll be considering people's feedback. We'll be talking about the series as a whole and what we're expecting for season 4. If there's any hints or some breadcrumbs for us to discover. And thanks for joining along with our mini marathon, and we'll be back with another episode. Until then, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Jim.
See ya.